I get to choose how I show up every day, and just to know that I can be alone in my head, and be good with where I'm at, know what I need, know how to communicate my needs like that. That when you get to that point of emotional freedom in that sense, nobody can take that away from you. Nobody can strip that from me. And I absolutely love that.
Welcome to the Next Level Women podcast, where powerhouse women break limits, claim their worth, and rise beyond good enough. I'm Jennifer Perri, a transformational coach, best-selling author, and fierce advocate for women reclaiming their power. After overcoming adversity from an abusive marriage to Guillain-Barré syndrome, I've made it my mission to help women rise above limiting beliefs, unlock their genius, and create lives of freedom, ease, and fulfillment. Each week, I sit down with 6- and 7-figure female entrepreneurs, executives, and visionaries who are rewriting the rules of success, building lasting impact, and owning their brilliance. Together, we'll share strategies, breakthroughs, and unfiltered conversations designed to inspire your clarity, confidence, and next-level power. This isn't just another business podcast. It's where transformation meets legacy and where unstoppable women rise. Welcome to the Next Level Women podcast. Welcome to the Next Level Women podcast, where women stop waiting and start choosing what's next. I'm your host, Jennifer Perri. I'm a reinvention strategist and divorce coach, a mindset and money strategist, and a CEO of Shiro Life and Empowerment Coaching. Each week, I sit down with powerful women who are redefining success and building lives on their terms. Our guest today, who I'm super excited about, is Brittany Blackman. How are you, Brittany?
I am fabulous. How are you today?
Good. We always have fun before we even get started on these things. So her and I were joking and laughing around because sometimes I forget my name. Sometimes I forget the name of my podcast. So we're just over here laughing.
Amen.
So, I'll have a theme. If this is, I don't know how many episodes now into the podcast, but we have a theme for each one of our episodes. And today's theme is going to be when success no longer feels like freedom. So I am going to take just a couple seconds to brag on you, Brittany. So cover your ears if you don't want to hear me talking about yourself. But Brittany is the founder of Discover Freedom and a transformational voice for women navigating identity shifts, leadership growth, and emotional alignment. Her work centers around helping people recognize the quiet internal disconnect that often exists beneath outward success and empowering them to choose differently before burnout, resentment, or self-abandonment takes over. That is a very, very powerful role in the lives of many people. So before we dive in, though, I want to ask a little bit more about you. So why don't you tell everybody where you're joining us from and what got you into doing what it is that you do?
Absolutely. So I am calling in from Santa Rosa Beach, Florida, which is right next to Destin, Florida. A lot of people know of that. I think world's most beautiful beaches.
I
And
agree. I agree.
so fabulous. It's kind of like pinch me that, it's real that I get to call this home. So feel very blessed. The very short version of how I got here, I grew up and was raised mostly in hospitality, on the food services side of things in restaurants, then spent about 14, 15 years of my life in the lodging side in vacation rentals, which are very heavy here in the Florida Panhandle. And I had my own business from 2020 to 2024 in that industry that I had built, sold, and then through a lot of personal development, decided that what was next was going to be jumping into building Discover Freedom out and building a life that actually makes me smile inside and outside.
I love that. And we've only met now a couple times, but every single time I talk to you, you're just always so smiley and bright and bubbly and all that. It's kind of like one of those infectious energies that I love. I just absolutely love
Appreciate
that.
that.
But
Thank you.
but what season, if you had to pick a season of your life right now, what are you currently in?
So I'm definitely in spring. I feel like when I was thinking about that question, I was like, wow, last year is really when I kicked off this business and I was planting a lot of seeds. It kind of felt like winter time. Things were very dormant and still, which I did not do well in, but I needed it. The universe has a way of giving you what you need, even when you don't ask for it. So last year was definitely a season of winter, and I do feel like this year is kind of like those seeds that were planted are beginning to grow. Kind of feel like I'm moving around, kind of stretching the muscles a little bit after that hibernation, and then very much looking forward to the summer that's ahead.
That's awesome. And I've dug in a little bit more about you and learned a little bit about what you do. And I'm learning right along with everybody else on this podcast more about who Brittany is. But your life for a while, you referenced it, looked really perfect on paper. But what did you notice in your life was quietly falling apart on the inside?
Yeah, so for me, I describe it a lot as a fog. And so, to your point, everything looked dreamy. I was in an industry that I loved. I was really great at what I did, well known, well respected in the industry. Had the dream to build my own business, went and did that. Everything was good. Money was great. Even before that, I had a six-figure job, but I wanted to have my own business, so I did that. So it really was on paper, like every box was checked. If you met me outside, the smile on the face, that energy was still there. Nobody really could tell that anything was off. Um, in hindsight now, I realized that I was in misalignment. What it felt like in the moment, I could not put that definition to it. I described it at that time that I kind of woke up and just felt like I was in a fog. And what that looked like for me was just like everything was there, but I just felt like every day I was waking up going through the motions. And it was kind of like I was doing what I had to do, but it just didn't feel like it was everything. And I really started asking my question, like, is this all that life has for me? Like, is this why I'm on this planet? And is this what the rest of my life is going to look like, and the impact that I'm supposed to make here? And through again a lot of personal development, came to the conclusion that I was not in the right spot in life. That things had shifted for me. It was great up until then, but that my values changed. I changed. My whole season of life was different than, it was in my 20s, and I had full control over that. And that's when I began doing the work of building out a life that actually made me smile.
Well, and we talk about, especially as women, we sacrifice a lot when we're building a family and then when we're building a career. And what do you think is the first thing that women sacrifice about themselves when they're really trying to build something that is, a big business or what they feel that they're called to do? What do you think that first thing is that they sacrifice? And do you think they even notice it?
I'm going to answer that last question first. No, you don't notice it at first. I feel like we sacrifice who we are because we're focused. And let me give you this. My reference is from a leadership reference. I've always been in management most of my career, and then obviously being a founder of a business. So I've always been in a position where I had a team that I was responsible for. So a lot of that comes from that perspective. So for me, what that sacrifice looked like was that you got to be strong for the team. You've got to have the answers. You've got to take care of the clients and the customers. When you get home, you have to be the supportive wife. You got to be a good dog mom. I'm a stepmom. You got to take care of the kid, make sure he grows up right and doesn't wind off, the train tracks. And so, like, I think in all of these different things, and, I never was really focused on like, what do I want later in life? I never really like thought about that. So in my journey of just building and being really good successfully at work, I became everything to everybody else. And I really just lost who I was. We didn't talk about personal development. It was very, I don't want to say woo woo. The therapy was woo woo in my family. We didn't talk about it. Like therapy was where you went when you got in trouble and like you need help. Something's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I was raised. And so a lot of that was just very confusing for me. And Did I realize that I was sacrificing all those things? No. And again, I think everybody's season of life is different. The one thing that I understand now is you will always sacrifice something. If you choose to go read a book, you're sacrificing sleep or Netflix. If you choose to eat a hamburger, you're sacrificing grapes or nuts, like
Right.
literally, like every decision that you make in life, understanding that you're sacrificing something. I think where people miss the mark in that is they don't slow down enough to ask that question, what am I sacrificing? If I choose this, what am I letting go? Because we're human and we can only hold so much. Our plates are only so big. And so, again, I just don't think we slow down enough to realize that. I think that's why a lot of people wind up burned out, and in just like that frazzled state of mind, which is becoming very hot topic these days. A lot of people are trying to get ahead of it as well, trying to help people so they don't get there. But no, I don't think you realize right now in society, I don't think we realize it till it's too late. But I do also see a lot more conversations and awareness, especially in the younger generation, of what can we do to avoid this? What can we do to prevent this? How can we build workplaces, lives, holistically that support us as humans so we're not sacrificing the wrong things?
Right. Well, and a couple things you brought up in that too. I work with women exclusively. So I hear all the time that, well, what about me? Like, what about me? I'm the stepmom, I'm the mom, I'm the dog mom, I'm taking care of the team at work. I come home and I'm a partner and I'm taking care of my husband or my wife, or I'm taking care of my household. What about me? Right. And there's so many women who overthink situations and what the decisions that they're making, and that they're very much perfectionists. I'm a recovering perfectionist. I think my mug today is like perfectly imperfect because I believe that we all, always are a work in progress. But I also think too we make excuses for ourselves and we make excuses for what it is that we want because we try to put those other titles and roles into a more important priority than our own life. But when you look at it, I mean, for yourself and then maybe for the people that you work with, when the excuses run out, what and you're real honest with yourself, what do you think all of that, the overthinking, the perfectionism, the being there for everybody else, what do you think it costs you, and what do you think it costs other women who are in leadership positions?
Oh, good question. Costs you everything. I think it's the stuff that, if I could phrase it in a business perspective, it's what doesn't hit the P&L. It's your energy, it's your time. Um, I My approach to health is that it is both mental, physical. It involves the body as well. So, from my perspective, when you focus on all of those things, it builds up in your body, and that comes out in certain ailments and illnesses and different things like that.
I agree
And
100% with you about that.
so I just finished a book, The Body Keeps the Score, and it was absolutely incredible. It's crazy to think that just 11 years later, we're finally starting to have more of those conversations. But I think it's a hidden cost. And I think that's what's made it so hard over the years to really understand that. But it costs you so much. You just can't see it until it does. What I can say though, and what's incredible is when you find somebody, and I hope this resonates with you too, and the women you work with, when you find somebody who's curious enough to go, man, this just doesn't seem right. I am just curious if life can look just slightly different, like just a little bit of that mindset, and somebody who's willing to take action on things that they learn. When you also start unwiring perfectionism, people pleasing, the overthinking, it's like drinking the Kool-Aid, and you just can't stop because it is such a sense of freedom. And it's real weird. A lot of times I talk with people like it's weird navigating society because there's all these people running on these rat wheels all around you. And we've like normalized that. And then you realize to kind of take things slower at your pace where you're comfortable. And that is interesting trying to navigate real life with this sense, but it's not good. I mean, you're never going to win by being super OCD, making sure everything's perfect. It stops you from starting things. It stops you from trying new things. And what is perfect anyways? Perfect means it's done. You know, you don't get to be creative. People pleasing is just, it's so toxic. It's also very normal. I did a presentation on that on Italy in Italy last year. People pleasing's in all of us because if you go back to like caveman times, if we didn't make the group happy, we got kicked out of the group and we got eaten by a woolly mammoth. You know what I mean? So it's like that's in us though. But even that, like all these different things, when you can create awareness around them and you can understand where they come from, and then you understand that you can choose how you want to use those things and new patterns and habits you want to create and build, like that's when life absolutely changes. And that's when it's not going to cost you those hidden things because you're making decisions and being in alignment with who you want to be at work, at home, with yourself, quiet time. And it does, just the whole puzzle starts to come together when you start piecing those different things together.
And I agree with you as far as, every day is full of choices, full of decisions, full of so many things. I am totally with you. I need to it's called The Body Keeps the Score.
Hmm.
I need to get that book because it's true. Because even you always hear all these things about like stress really affects you and stress, like all, and I believed it a little tiny bit. But then when I 4 years ago was paralyzed and started to like, if I stressed about anything, I literally could feel it manifesting in my body because my nervous system was just so out of whack. So it was
Hmm.
like the first time in my life where I was like, oh no, wait a second. That's not just lip service. That's a real thing. Like, your stress really does affect your body, but so do your choices. And I see a lot on social media. I'm on social media a lot. I've got a large, community on social media. And when somebody will post something, even like a cute dog or a baby, all these really sweet comments, and you just get that one person who has something negative to say about what the dog looks like, the baby looks like, the baby's mom, no matter what it is. There's that one, whether it's a troll or not, the fact is that one person is choosing to show up like that in that situation. And it took me a long time to realize that I couldn't have that negativity around me. I couldn't have that energy suck in my life. And even with everything that I've been through, and people want to try to be like, oh, well, it was caused by this, and you should be angry. You should be. I have a choice every day to get up. I'm thankful that I'm here. And I make a
Hmm.
decision every day to get up and to be happy and to try to be there to pour my life in the life of somebody else. So it is a choice. And you can make all the excuses that you want under the sun. You can blame your I don't know, your partner, the president, your ex-wife, your ex-husband, your kids, your parents. You can blame anybody you want, but you've got to take the responsibility and you have to stop making the excuses. I do firmly believe that our environment has a huge effect on who we are as people. But again, I don't mean to go down that route, but there was just things that you said where it was kind of like, making the choices and all. So anyway, and yes, getting eaten by woolly mammoths with, I have some people in my life that I'd be okay with that. So anyway,
We won't
said
name
in
names.
total love, said in total love.
Yes.
But let me ask you too, what is the difference between the leader that you were then, like when your life, when you said, oh, maybe there's got to be a little bit more out there for me, maybe I could do some. What is the difference between that Brittany and now the leader that you've chosen to become?
Oh, way more grounded. I am part of the work that I do now is working with teams and helping managers and leaders understand that what's going on in here and here shows up out there. Um, that is something I did not understand. I did not understand that the chatter in my head, the just I had resentment. I just always worked hard, got frustrated with other people. Um, and this wasn't my entire career by any means. This was just towards the end, but like that inner state that I got to those last couple of years, it showed up. When I look back at the manager I was in my 20s and things like that, to your point, blaming everybody else. Oh, they just don't want to work and they just all suck. And oh my gosh, every generation's probably said that about every incoming generation, So I, I realize now that w you being grounded and how you show up every day is based on who you are inside. It's the body language that you show up with, the words you use, the temperament, the tone, the pace, just your whole presence in the room. I like to talk a lot about now it's like leaders, as a leader, you are the thermostat in the room. And so sometimes you walk in and you need to turn the thermostat down. It's hot, it's heated in there, and you need to cool it down. Sometimes you need to warm it up. It's too icy, it's too, cold in there. And so when I frame it like that, it seems to click pretty well for everybody. And I just wish I would have really understood that it's not just what the room needs, but it's also how you show up. So if your life is in complete shambles and chaotic and messy and you're not organized, you're bringing that energy into the workplace and your team feeds off of that and you're setting that tone. And so, again, now I'm a solopreneur, so it's just myself, but I really enjoy working with the leaders to help them work through that stuff, work through that chatter, because I do firmly believe that when you can get grounded and you can set into who you are, how you want to lead, how you show up best, you will then attract the right team, get the right people in place. And just leadership, I don't want to ever say it's easy, but it's just not as awful as it has to be when there's just so much chaos in the mix.
And I think too, there's some leaders, I know some just amazing, incredible leaders of really big places. And when I kind of dive deep into conversations with them, it's almost like they don't know how they should lead. Not that, do I get really close to the people that I'm leading? I think there's a balance. You don't want to be so hands off where it's icy and everybody's afraid to come to you and have a conversation or brainstorm or share concerns. You don't want that. But I think there still has to be a certain division too as a leader between your team, so that that respect is there and that the balance is there as well. So I think that there are a lot of leaders that just really don't know how to lead. Our world is very different. I think I've said that on every podcast that I possibly could say. It is. It has felt very different to me for a decade. Sometimes I
Mhm.
just don't know, you know what I mean? And the job market is very difficult and politically things are very, hot and cold. So I think sometimes too, it's just the understanding of how to communicate. I think COVID had a huge hand in teaching people or unlearning, if that's a word, of how to interact with other people.
Oh,
Trying to get
yes.
back in and having conversations and not sharing too much. And so I think there is a balance. And the women that are listening to this, what do you think in what you've shared with me that a lot of women will find themselves in? Like in your story, what do you think is going to be the thing that resonates the most with them from what you've experienced and you've shared?
I think it's the silent pressure that we place on ourselves to carry everything. So females are wired for community, to build, to bridge gaps, to support. To tell a woman that they're supposed to sit something down and say, it's not my problem, like goes against how we're wired, but it's also the reality of the situation. Um, I like to sometimes explain it this way. Have you ever had, if you're going to like barbecue or something like that, and you get one of those styrofoam plates and it
Mm-hmm.
has like the little sections in it? So
Yeah.
that's kind of how I reference life now. Like we all have the same styrofoam plate that we're carrying, and sometimes things don't want to touch because I don't want my macaroni and cheese, and my coleslaw or whatever it is, right? So everything that we're choosing, though, when we say yes to everything, like that styrofoam plate is going to break things are going to fall off of the styrofoam plate. Maybe you need to consume some things on the styrofoam plate before you put more on. Like your plate is only so big, and the notion that our plates get bigger as we get older, I don't know where that came from. I don't know where the notion that your plate just gets stronger over time. Like, no, our plate is the same size plate. And if anything, it gets weaker as we get older. And that's not to say that we're like frail, come help me princesses, or anything like that. But I think it's just a very true reality of like, you have a plate, you have a certain foundation that can withhold only so much. And you are the only one that can control saying yes or no to what goes on your plate. And so you hear this all the time when you get on the airplane, put your, mask on before you put on your neighbors. And we all kind of just pass by that and laugh at it. And we hear it and we're like, yeah, we know, but we don't like internalize that. The reality that is though, like if you're not taking care of yourself and you're saying yes to everything, something's going to break or something's going to fall off. And I think in a hustle culture, the best thing that we can do is continue to project that it's okay to set stuff down. It's okay to know how big your plate is, to know when you need to say no to things, to know when you need to remove things, and it's okay to take it off. I think we as females and males have their own differences. So I do want to say that they've got their own pressure that just looks different than ours. But I think as women, we need to get better at acknowledging that maybe it's okay that we don't have it all. I know
I
that's very against what some people are out there preaching. I think it's okay to not have it all. I think it's okay to choose what you want. And it may not be all to everybody else, but if it's your all and it's what makes you happy every day, and you have a balanced nervous system, you're sleeping good, you feel good, you got good relationships, I think that's perfectly fine in my book.
I agree with you. And what does emotional freedom look like and feel like in your everyday life right now?
Mm, so dreamy. I I love that question. It starts with self-awareness. You got to check in. You've got to know what's going on for yourself. The grace. I talk a lot about chatter. It's also one of my favorite books by Ethan Cross. But we all have that inner dialogue that's going on that doesn't necessarily always go away. We can work on controlling the tone of that message inside. So I think for me, it's sitting still with myself, having the awareness, giving myself grace, being able to regulate myself, and also being able to advocate for myself, to advocate for my needs, and what I need in teams that I work with and clients that I choose at home, in my relationship with my husband, with my friends, like whatever it is. It's just go back to something you said earlier that resonates here. It's the choice. It's that I get to choose. I have chosen that I no longer want to live this life that society taught me was success and what gets promoted all over social media. I'm okay that I don't have that picture perfect life, but I get to choose how I show up every day and just to know that I can be, sounds creepy, but alone in my head, and be good with where I'm at, know what I need, know how to communicate my needs like that. That when you get to that point of emotional freedom in that sense, nobody can take that away from you. Nobody can strip that from me. And I absolutely love that.
Well, and as you grow into your next chapter, I think I already know the answer to this, but as you grow into your next chapter, what are you most intentional about protecting?
My energy and my spirit take a lot of time checking on my energy. If I need to overexert, we talked about this earlier, sacrifice. There's some days I have to sacrifice my time, dinner, whatever it is, but I always make sure that I fill that cup. If I've poured it out in one spot, I fill it somewhere else. So I very much protect my energy because when my energy is in alignment and I'm in the purpose that I'm put here on this planet for, then my spirit is good. And that's how I can show up consistently for other people, and I feel good. I feel like I'm enough. I don't feel like I have to gain, build, grow. Like I am perfectly content with where I'm at today. And I hope that as I move forward in my career, in life, just in general, that every day can be as peaceful as today is.
Well, I have absolutely loved talking to you. Your energy is definitely, like I said to begin with, very infectious. Every time I talk to you, you're very positive. And I mean, I try to stay in that zone all the time, even on the days you just don't feel like it, because you don't know who else is watching. You don't know if you're going to be the energy that they feed off of that day. So I love that about you, and I know certainly we'll be talking more and more and doing things together. But what is the best way for people to interact with you, connect with you, learn more about what you do, who you serve? What is the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, so I am on LinkedIn, on Facebook, Brittany Blackman with a little superwoman cape. And then also my website's discoverfreedom.life. And so that is undergoing some renovations right now, just as I build and grow the business to kind of update that. So there will be some changes coming soon on the website, but still a great place. But again, LinkedIn is probably where I spend most of my time.
Well, I have thoroughly enjoyed getting to know you better. And I kind of like it too that I'm majority of every person who comes on this podcast, they're new in my world. It's not somebody that I've known for a very long time. I'm excited to learn more about you. I'm definitely excited to have way more conversations with you because I think your energy and your light is definitely something that the world that we are living in needs. So it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm sure I'm probably going to have you back on again. We talk about something else.
Sounds good. Let's get juicy. Thank you so much. And thank you for the work you do. I think sometimes too, like in the roles that you and I and many others sit in, like we don't talk about that side of it too. And you can lose yourself in this in helping others, you can really lose yourself just as much. So I just want to also say thank you for the impact that you have. I know that sometimes this work's not flashy and big and bold, because you're helping people in so much of that inner conversation and inner worth. So I just want to extend that gratitude to you that I firmly believe that people like you also create that impact that creates that ripple effect. And I too think that that's what the world needs. So keep doing what you're doing just as
Thank
much.
you. Thank you. I appreciate you. Well, everybody, as we wrap up today, I'd just like for you to remember this: the woman you're becoming is built in the decisions that you make next. So until we meet again, keep doing the work, keep choosing yourself, and keep rising into the life that's calling you. I'll be there every step of the way, guiding you to your next level. We'll see you next week, everyone. Thanks again, Brittany.
Thanks.